Best of 5 finals here. We are in the Challenger Series number 4 here. This is the very potentially last game, actually. We have got absoluteLegends at a 2-0 advantage here, and they are up against HeimerdingersCollosi, who looked very strong in the first game, but maybe aren't doing so well now. But I have actually now got a different co-caster from last time. You know, obviously, Metas was a lovely person, as we all know, but I am going to be joined again by Stress. Hello.
Hello, Spuddington, and I think the word you used earlier to describe Metas was dulcet, so I think that might be what we're going to go with on this one. I won't be casting with Metas until the next game if it goes to game 4, so, you know, he'll get his revenge then anyway. Glad to be back here for game number 3 of this best of 5 series, as you said, between absoluteLegends and HeimerdingersCollosi. And now absoluteLegends, from a very shaky start in game number 1, have come back and they're actually sat at 2-0 up here, so surprising events already here in the finals for the EUS Challenger Series.
Yeah, they are actually looking very, very strong. That second game, honestly, never really looked in doubt. I mean, there were kind of HeimerdingersCollosi held on very well, but they were never really ahead. They were never really going to be able to win unless something went wrong from the perspective of absoluteLegends, and really they just pushed it home very effectively indeed. It's going to be interesting to see what the pick strategy is here. It does actually look like Zac ban out, and they have actually got the Volibear ban out too, but leaving open Twisted Fate, so that's going to be a potential problem here. But that is the first pick from absoluteLegends. Oh, and I should clarify, Extinct is not available to play for HeimerdingersCollosi, so he has been swapped out for Lego My Ego, and Yamato Cannon is playing on a Smurf. So that's what's happening. Stress, I know you like Twisted Fate. That is the only pick we have to talk about thus far. What do you think?
I do like Twisted Fate as a champion. He's just such a strong first pick. I'm actually quite surprised he wasn't banned out here. Looks like HeimerdingersCollosi, they banned out Volibear, which is somewhat a little bit surprising, but we did see Volibear. I think it was all the way back in game number 1. May have seen it in the second game. Unfortunately, I didn't get too much of a chance to catch it, but I know you and Metas held down the fort very well for game 2.
Oh, that's very nice. Very nice of you to say. Very nice of you to say. But we are seeing some extra picks now coming out. Taking a little bit of time to think about this. It does seem like, obviously, they're trying to plan around now how to deal with that Twisted Fate, who is obviously a huge kind of power pick. Very difficult to deal with. And I feel like they needed to ban out some of the champions they were up against. But maybe they could have left that Volibear open this time. I'm not sure whether that's going to cost them more, leaving Twisted Fate open for absoluteLegends. Still, we have got that Thresh, and we have now also got Kha'Zix locked in.
Yep, Thresh and Kha'Zix locked in, and we saw out of absoluteLegends earlier that Thresh and Kha'Zix ended up pretty much turning game number 1 around, and it was pretty much deep into the game. We got to a point where Kha'Zix and Thresh were able to catch out the Anivia in the jungle, take him out of the game, and then pretty much just ended up turning the game on its head, snowballing it back in their favour. And then we're just waiting on a couple of picks from absoluteLegends.
Yeah, they still haven't actually locked this in. Should clarify actually for the record that Stress will be casting from the stream, but for now I am actually in the lobby for a change. I have been taking advantage of that to add some friends. I mean, I'm not trying to play Pokemon with pro players, or Challenger tier players actually, but we have actually now got that Varus player in, that Varus lock-in and that Nocturne lock-in.
Yeah, I got a little bit confused by the Pokemon there, but Nocturne is another champion with the global pressure like Twisted Fate, so a great champion to go alongside that. They're going to be able to turn any kind of ganks heavily in their favour with that Destiny and also the Paranoia coming out from Nocturne. So that's a lot of global pressure, and with Shen banned out as well, that means pretty much most of that global pressure has been selected. We did have a Karthus in the last game. We may even see Karthus in this one, depending on exactly what HeimerdingersCollosi choose to do.
Yeah, Karthus was actually in many ways the saving grace, but at the same time I feel like he was just not able to put the damage down in that fight. He just had some problems getting in close, and obviously Karthus that can't get in close is really just a lay waste spam bot and occasionally putting out Requiem. Not quite what you would want, but that just kind of happens sometimes. Still, we have actually got a Heimerdinger, so I'm assuming that's going to be a placeholder pick. No, it's not Heimerdinger jungle, for the love of, but we have got, yeah, actually Heimerdinger I don't know if they're going to let us know what that pick is actually supposed to represent. It could be Heimerdinger. I live in hope, but I sincerely doubt it. I don't actually have anyone to specifically ask here, so no huge problem, obviously, but not quite ideal. We still are waiting on the next two picks, though. So Draven and Heimerdinger, that's all we've got to talk about.
Yeah, I'm expecting that to be a placeholder. Maluno is getting a message. I can see that on screen. It's going to be Nautilus is the Heimerdinger. So no Heimerdinger for you guys, sorry. It's going to be Nautilus in that jungle position. And that's where we're at. So Draven and Nautilus over on the other side now. We're seeing what absolute legends are going to pick up, and it's actually a Rengar pick. That's pretty interesting in its own right.
Yeah, Rengar has actually been locked in. So unless this is a place, I don't think this is a placeholder pick. Generally, when you use a placeholder pick, you use a very obviously troll champion. You use someone you would never play. But Rengar is kind of, he's generally considered not very good, but he's not bad enough to be like Heimerdinger tier. So I think that might actually be a legitimate Rengar pickup, and that could actually be the top lane Rengar coming out. Rengar is incredibly scary, incidentally. I recently played against Rengar on my Smurf, thankfully, in ranked. And it turns out that a Rengar with level 2 early and a red pot, red elixir start, that kind of gives you like level 2 quite a lot, like completely gibbed me easily. Still, it's going to be a little bit interesting to see. So I'm just kind of interested to see what they're going for here. Do you have any real opinions on the particular strengths of Rengar other than his level 2 damage?
He's kind of a champion that goes in, well, was in favor for quite a while with varying different builds. He's seen play from a number of different people, but has fallen off recently with Season 3. Of course, there were a couple of little item tweaks to Rengar himself and Diana. If you remember, there was that patch where they got pretty much nerfed right out of the game and were almost unplayable at a competitive level. They had the tweak adjusted and reset, and now it looks like they're at a point where Rengar might be viable in certain circumstances as well. But one thing that we're going to have in this game that's going to be pretty cool to watch out for is that interaction after level 16 with Kha'Zix and Rengar. Of course, at that point, when both of them are level 16, I believe it is, the first kill from one of them onto the other will bestow an added effect onto the champion. If Rengar has that bone tooth necklace, I believe it fully stacks if he kills Kha'Zix, if I'm not getting that right. And Kha'Zix, if he gets the kill, will gain access to his 4th evolution on his ultimate.
Yeah, you actually get the head of Kha'Zix instead of your bone tooth necklace on Rengar, and it is a permanently fully stacked bone tooth necklace. It doesn't actually ever lose stacks no matter how many times you die, and that is a really, really scary prospect. I wouldn't be surprised if we did actually see this event come to fruition. Both these teams have been looking pretty kind of even, and I doubt this game will be finishing before both of them hit level 16. So, yeah, like you said, I do think that Rengar has to pick up the Bone Tooth Necklace for it to happen, though. So, not going to be ideal, but was it actually a placeholder? We are actually seeing...
it looks like it's a Renekton. Okay, we weren't actually told that.
Nobody told me. I'm so sad. But, obviously, Renekton. Much, much more boring, but that's how life is sometimes. You just have to deal with these terrible disappointments. So it is looking like a fairly mobile comps here from Absolute Legends.
Yeah, I'm kind of a little disappointed on that, mainly because I just talked about that for a couple of minutes, so you can just pretty much disregard everything I said during the remake of the game, which is a little disappointing. But if you ever have a Rengar and a Kha'Zix in your game, you can have that little interaction on your own. And it was a Fizz, it was the final pickup for HeimerdingersCollosi, so that is a bit of an unorthodox pick. We've seen Fizz a number of times, is fairly commonly picked up against Twisted Fate. Of course, a little bit difficult to get the damage out and the stun from Twisted Fate onto a Fizz. When you have that playful Trickster, it's going to be able to avoid a lot of the damage. So we're heading into game now between Absolute Legends and HeimerdingersCollosi. Absolute Legends have themselves a 2-0 victory, lead after starting a little bit slow in game number 1. They managed to pull that one back, and then get the win over HeimerdingersCollosi in game number 2. We're going to go to a very quick break, guys. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes with game number 3 between HeimerdingersCollosi and absoluteLegends here for the EUS Challenger Series number 4. Welcome back, guys, to the EUS Challenger Series number 4. It is the Grand Finals, hosted by Kaostv. I am Dignitas Stress. I am joined by Spuddington, and this is game number 3 coming up between absoluteLegends and HeimerdingersCollosi. And some would say, surprisingly, HeimerdingersCollosi are on the back foot here, down 0-2 against absoluteLegends.
Yeah, they have actually been having some serious problems in the games, and it's going to be interesting to see if they can actually manage to come back in this third game. If absoluteLegends take this one, they are going to be winning the entire series 3-0, which you can say, only ever say, in fact, is a dominating performance. But we are seeing potentially some aggression from absoluteLegends coming out. Looking like it could be a delayed invade on this blue buff here. I'm going to be looking to steal that away, and Olorin is actually not getting a lot of vision where he's standing. He's just kind of hiding around a corner. If the enemy team came around there and he wasn't aware of it, it could suddenly turn very, very nasty. And while we're waiting for the potential impending doom, I should probably just quickly mention we do actually have the potential for you to win an XMG gaming laptop if you join a raid called channel 7007. If you do that, you are, I think, put into a random draw. Someone will win that laptop, which is worth quite a bit of money and generally pretty useful for the kind of people that do obviously like to play games on the move. Olorin is going to be in a bit of a dangerous spot here. He is... he's going to be doing wolves, and they're going to be right there. Pink ward is available. Are they going to go for this?
Yeah, and with no bot lane duo in this area, because they've gone for that lane swap, they didn't have a ward available to put here in this bush. And that means Yamato Cannon is in a little bit of danger, but they are starting up at that red buff anyway, anticipating that invade. So Yamato Cannon kind of gets a little bit lucky there, maybe even predicted that. So they knew exactly what was going on.
Of course, if you're the one that's instigating the lane swap, then you can predict that in the early game you're going to be zoned out anyway. So they obviously were aware of that and decided not to take the risk of going the short route back to that lane for Kha'Zix, because otherwise he would probably have ended up very, very dead indeed. And we actually have Lego My Ego putting down some aggression on Labano already. He's actually taken off, nearly half his health. I'm going to be forcing out a pot immediately after the game started. Malunu going to be stealing that blue buff away in return for his own. So just actually, at the moment, I'd say coming out in the favor of... my mind blanked. HeimerdingersCollosi.
Yes, a slight advantage here in HeimerdingersCollosi's favor. So they have also got a pink ward down at the blue buff area from Nocturne, but they weren't really able to do all that much with it. High Switch, of course, does have that blue from earlier, and it looked like Maluna went over and took that. So that's where that pink ward came from. Just catching up mentally a little bit with the opening of this game. And you can see that we've got another Varus Sona lane coming out in this 2v1 lane with a Draven Thresh, very similar actually to earlier, which I believe was on the other way around. So we'll see exactly what happens here. But Varus Sona is a lane that pushes pretty quickly.
Yeah, they are. Obviously, most of the actual pushing is done by Varus, but Sona really contributes mostly as a kind of poke bot. A lot of damage can come out from Sona. In fact, it's quite an alarming amount. Maluna is going in here. We've also got the aggression from Kha'Zix, who's been ignited in return. The teleport comes in from Lego My Ego. He is going to be putting down the damage on Abyss. Abyss goes down. Snipify now in a lot of trouble. The red buff is on him from Malunu. Can he get away from this? He has got the Riptide from the flash, and the finish from Lego My Ego is going to pick up 2 kills for nothing.
Yeah, and for the first time in these sets of games, really Lego My Ego playing the very aggressive player. We were saying earlier that Broken Shard had informed us that Lego is a pretty defensive player. And for the first time with that teleport down to the bot lane, he's going to pick himself up a double kill, and that is a brilliant, brilliant start for Fizz. Does have double Doran's Ring. Mithy up in the top lane. Did use Flay to knock back Odamna, and Odamna gets dropped very low. Trying to get the tether on is High Switch, but did end up dropping to Thresh. I believe that was from an Ignite. High Switch has to be careful. He is going to get ticked down by that passive from Draven. And that ends up 4 kills across the map in favor of HeimerdingersCollosi. So maybe they're looking to bounce back here.
This is an incredibly huge advantage at this stage of the game. They're now actually getting into the territory of Kha'Zix might start to do a lot of damage in that kind of 2-on-1 situation. He only got 2 assists though, but his XP advantage is going to be significant, and that top lane in the form of Freeze and Mithy is going to be so deadly. Double buff on that Draven. Level 5, which is going to be out-leveling, almost everyone else in the game. That's an incredibly scary Draven to have to face up against, especially when he's going to walk back into the lane, picking up what, probably at least a Vamp Scepter I would expect, and probably more even than that. He's got 1,500 gold. He's picking up a BS sword.
Yeah, normally we'd start to wonder how much that's going to affect the game, but looking back to game number 1, we saw that HeimerdingersCollosi actually had a significant advantage in that game, and it was pretty much comparable to this, maybe a little bit less of an advantage, I mean, we saw absoluteLegends come back into that game, whether that was HeimerdingersCollosi not really taking full effect of their advantages, as High Switch is going to get caught out as well. That push is warded, so High Switch, not long for this world, is going to go down. That puts Lego My Ego on to a killing spree. Now, will absoluteLegends be able to do a similar thing to game number 1 and come back into this, or is this a little bit too far?
Well, it's going to be interesting, and a lot of this is going to come down to how well Bano can manage to roam. He obviously does have that potential. He is Twisted Fate, does have the Destiny, but there is a serious danger that Lego My Ego is going to hit level 6 before him. In fact, I'm just going to check the XP. Yeah, he's going to hit 6 first, and that is going to mean that it's going to get very, very dangerous for Twisted Fate in the next few seconds. In fact, I think he's going to be going in with the fish, puts the stun card down though, so no dodge there from Lego My Ego, who's going to have to back out. But Bano is obviously now a little bit depleted on that health, but he does have an opportunity here to roam if he can hit that level 6. And Lego My Ego is out of mana, so no further aggression is likely to come out there. Olorin now in this bottom lane has evolved Spiked, is going to be getting aggressive here. Snipify has already been slowed. He jumps actually past the Hail of Arrows, has been exhausted. Malulu getting aggressive. He is in on this. Anchor is going in, doing a lot of damage. Olorin now putting down the deeps, and it's also stuff going on in the top lane. Abyss is going to be in a bit of a risky spot, but it does look like Olorin is now in danger. High Switch is going in for the return gang. Obviously the slow is coming out though, so it may not be enough. We have got the Anchor, which is going to keep Kha'Zix alive, and Freeze is still shoving in top.
Yeah, Tower goes down in the top lane, they see the jungler in the bottom lane, and that really means that HeimerdingersCollosi can afford to be a little bit more aggressive here up in this top lane. Reminder to anybody watching that Extinct is subbed out for this game by Lego My Ego, and Olorin is actually Yamato Cannon up in, playing Kha'Zix in this game. So, just in case anybody was a little bit unaware of that, that is exactly where we're at. And this is the first time, again, that we've seen this aggressive play out of Lego My Ego. He's on 3-0, and he's even been trying to find those ganks in the mid lane. Draven and Thresh now swap over to this mid lane to put some pressure onto the turret. And you'll see exactly how Bano is going to be able to hold on to this. Has himself double Doran's Ring and an Amp Tome, but has only recently hit level 6 and not all that many areas that he can end up pressuring the map with his ultimate quite yet.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit difficult for him to hold on. He is potentially getting caught out here. Lego My Ego's right there. There is a fish on him. He actually doesn't dodge the lobster, which is now stuck to him. And that's an easy kill there for Draven. And this is just snowballing even harder. Malulu going to be taking that blue buff, and this mid tower is going to be pressured. High Switch is heading towards it. Meanwhile, Yamato Cannon. I have a goldfish memory. I will never remember that. I'm just going to call him Olorin. But Kha'Zix is going to be still able to keep his tower up for a significant amount more time, and Fizz getting aggressive on High Switch, jumping out from under the tower, and it looks like this is just going to be a very short breather.
Yeah, and it might not be the only thing that's very short in this game at this rate. I mean, absoluteLegends are trying to hold on to whatever they can by applying this pressure in the bot lane, but look who's coming down through their jungle already. The Lantern is out, there's the box as well. Snipify does just have his flash, he's going to use that, but is going to go down regardless. Abyss just finds some safety behind that turret, but they pick up the kill. That's what they wanted. And even though Freeze and Mythia are quite low, I wonder how long HeimerdingersCollosi are going to stick around. Flash came out from Abyss, didn't manage to pick up the kill.
Desperately looking to make plays here. absoluteLegends are going to have a lot of difficulty. It's just looking so difficult right now, and I just don't see how anyone can be doing any kind of aggression right now. I mean, Nocturne is going to have so much problem putting down damage on anyone in this team. I mean, he's not going to be able to stick to Fizz. He's not going to be able to stick to Kha'Zix. And frankly, he's just not going to be able to put the damage down on Draven without being just straight up murdered. In top lane, though, Odamne is getting caught out. We have got the TF ultimate coming in. We have also got the Dominus pop. And it does actually now look like this could be a turnaround. But Olorin, Yamato Cannon is very, very high on that damage. And he is putting it down. He is going to be putting Odamne down very, very low. But he's going to be actually taken out by Albano. But we have now Lego My Ego coming in from the side. Nocturne coming in on top of that. We have actually got the fish pop the High Switch is just going to have to back on out.
Yeah, and using that Nocturne ult to get in was great because it managed to distract them enough so that Odamna could get out, but they ended up losing that. They ended up going 1-for-1 in that exchange anyway, so fairly even. I guess Nocturne will be happy that they managed to get Odamna out of there. And finally, they put something on the board. That's their first kill. You know, they're still waiting on a tower in this game. All of the meanwhile, down in the bottom lane, Draven and Thresh still pushing away, and you can see that Thresh up at 91 CS to the 73 of Varus already. 2 kills on him as well. They nearly landed death sentence on towards Varus, but Snipify just a little too far away.
Yeah, and I just want to draw your attention to the fact that Freeze has a full Bloodthirster already at this 11-minute mark. And obviously, he's also level 8 to the Varus level 6, and it's going to be a very difficult thing for them to deal with right now. It's looking like some pressure is going to come down on this tower. Abyss does have Crescendo available. We're going for the dive here. Actually, it is looking like Crescendo goes across Freeze, who has got the cleanse, though. That blocks it out, so no problem there picking up the first kill. Now Snipify gets pulled. Oh, the nice little lantern. Super well played. And now High Switch is potentially going to be looking for this, but he's been caught out by Yamato Cannon. He is just going to get blown up as well, and this is a 1-for-12 lead, and this is just looking so bad for Absolute Legends right now. They are getting rolled at the moment.
Yeah, not looking good for them right now, and this is a significantly different game to game number 1. You can see in the mid lane, Lego My Ego will pick that up with the Waters, I believe it is. I always mess that one up. I want to say Tides, but it's Waters. And now HeimerdingersCollosi will go for the Dragon. And it's just another global objective they're going to take. That mid tower is going to be falling pretty soon as well. And HeimerdingersCollosi are in full control of this game.
Yeah, that's a scary thing to have to play against. I mean, Draven right now is going to be doing so much damage that I think you could just safely say no one can tank him for more than maybe 3, 4, 5 auto attacks tops. He is just going to chunk anyone down, and no, there is just no way that anyone can even put down the damage to focus him out at the moment unless he's wildly out of position. They only really have Renekton's on the own. Well, Crescendo is a little bit of a long cooldown to spend on just one person. They do have that Renekton stun, they do have Nocturne who can try and dive in, but the thing is, unless they kind of 2v1, 3v1, there's just no way they can take him out. And obviously, if he has that protection from Thresh, you have even less chance. So it's fair to say, I think, pretty much as actually Broken Shard messaged me and said, Absolute Legends have no chance in a team fight right now. They have to try and put the brakes on.
Yeah, and how do you do that? Because they're facing so much pressure in all the different lanes that in order to try and halt this kind of aggression, you have to have some sort of numbers advantage. And they can't afford to do that because they're going to lose something halfway across the map. Yes, they have the mobility in Nocturne and Twisted Fate, but when they use their ultimates, if they're trying to use it in a defensive situation to stop somebody under a tower, they're still pretty heavily outgunned on a 1v1. They'd have to pretty much work in unison to try and cut some of the aggression out, and that would be a tricky thing to try and do when a couple of the members of HeimerdingersCollosi group. Draven is going to teleport in on to Freeze, uses that Destiny, lands a little bit of damage, but this is what I'm talking about. He's gone in too early on his own. Bono's actually getting ticked down by the passive from Draven. There finally, Varus is going to catch up. The Whirling Death is going to catch up as well, and he very nearly trades on top of it, but meanwhile in the mid lane, they're losing their tower.
Yeah, that's actually given them 500 gold, but yeah, as you say, losing the tower in the mid, they might be okay with that because Draven was such a valuable target, but you saw how strong he is right now. That's going to put him a little bit less strong than he was before. Obviously, less time farming, less time generating gold, less time getting experience, but he is still so scary. And Mithy actually just whipped the hook there. I was expecting, I think, Abyss to move a little bit, and we have got the pressure. Yamato Cannon going for this top tower. It doesn't look like they're willing to take any prisoners today. Just going to be shoving and shoving and shoving, not letting up at all. We have Lego My Ego actually going onto the tower. Dominus Pop jumping into the middle. Mithy gets the play on him. Box goes down. Depth Charge goes down. The Fizz is honestly useless on that because he was long since dead. Snipify goes in with the hook. We got the flash Crescendo, but it's not going to be enough. They're just getting minced as they jump into the middle of the enemy team, achieving very, very little indeed. Rockets go down, and that's a clean ace Quadra-kill on Fizz, who actually then dies to, I think, the tower.
Yeah, one final tower shot. Did pick that up, so not quite clean, but Abyss puts the worth into chat. Quadra kill on to Fizz to put him at 9-1 and 2. Probably not the best thing for Absolute Legends 15 minutes into the game. As you said, big amount of gold did go over towards Bano, so you know that helps him out a slight bit, but in the grand scheme of things, they're still 11,000 gold down, and we're 15 minutes into the game. So if you take away the amount of time for minions to spawn at the beginning of the game, you're pretty much looking at 800 to 900 gold a minute increase on HeimerdingersCollosi over Absolute Legends. Snipify might even get caught by the passive tick. Yes, he will. Freeze picks himself up another kill.
Ho ho! Yeah, he just, I think, four-shotted him. I mean, obviously not counting the Wicked Blades passive there, which will have stacked up a couple of times. But yeah, that's a scary Draven right now. At this point, honestly, I just don't see how Absolute Legends could come back into this. Obviously, they did manage a very impressive comeback, but I think even that comeback... Oh, he didn't get... Oh, Mithy trying to get the hook actually there on that Wraith. Did not manage to get the steal, though. Just to picks that up. But, yeah, as I say, it would take a miracle at this point. And Lego My Ego is getting aggressive on high switch. Doesn't actually go for the ultimate, though. Fearing the spell shield, I think. So, they're just going to keep on pushing here. The Lich Bane is available on Lego My Ego, though. So they will take towers down very, very quickly if they're allowed to.
And now, for anybody that might not have seen games 1 and 2, this might look like two teams that are fairly distant in skill. Game 2 was actually... pretty much heavily in Absolute Legends' favor, and the game 1 was somewhat close, but then ended up HeimerdingersCollosi took a lead in the mid game, and then ended up losing ultimately to Absolute Legends. So this kind of doesn't look all that close between these teams. This game is certainly not close, but these teams don't seem to be too far on skill level. So this is surprising. I think just about everybody involved that we're sat at 19 and 3.
Yeah, now it's an 11k gold difference. That's pretty big. On scale of bigness, that is absolutely enormous. And Lego My Ego is just sitting next to that Wraith to give XP, I think? I don't really know what he was up to there, but we are seeing some difficulties now. I mean, they are the saving grace, I guess, at this point from Absolute Legends' perspective. If they are to try and mount any kind of serious defense, it's going to have to be from the inhibitor turrets. And, you know, in their defense, they no longer have any other turrets, so they can't actually lose any more global objectives. This game is so early on that it would be a very risky play, actually, for HeimerdingersCollosi to go for a Baron, and they could actually probably do it, but it would, as I say, be a bit risky. If they were caught out, that could backfire, and that's probably the only way they could really throw at this point. And we have actually got Bano going up top on Yamato Cannon. He's going to put down some damage. Might go down to this, though. We have got the ultimate. It has run out, though. Did he still have a stack on Void Assault, though? I thought he only used one there.
I didn't actually manage to catch that. I'm not too sure, but that's what Absolute Legends need to be doing, is using those globals in conjunction with each other to try and just take whatever they can across the map. HeimerdingersCollosi not really able to use that distraction all that much. We did see British Tea Time earlier this week take a Baron down at the 18-minute mark, so it's not out of contention for HeimerdingersCollosi. They do have an Oracles on Thresh as well, so they know it'll be dewarded. They've seen a number of them down in the bottom lane, so if they were to choose to, you know, they wouldn't be beyond their reach. Death Sentence is going to land onto Odamne. There's the Death Charge and the box. That is a one dead crocodile, and they might even take blue buff and think about Baron from here. But this is so early on in the game that I would have thought Absolute Legends for the last couple of minutes have been thinking, oh, let's just surrender at 20 minutes, but they haven't been able to yet. I'm wondering what it's going to be doing to their mentality, because here's the beginning of the Baron.
Yeah, they're going for this Baron, and there's nobody really there to stop them. I don't think they're going to try, actually, and it does just look like they're going to be juggling the damage here pretty nicely. Freeze putting down so much damage of his own. Obviously, Draven at this stage, Last Whisper, Bloodthirster, and a Crit Cloak, so that's going to be just ridiculous damage for this stage of the game, which means this is actually like taking a Baron kind of at, you know, maybe 25 minutes. You know, their builds are so much more ahead of the game than you would expect, and Baron is actually weaker early on in the game. He has less health and less resistances, and we've actually got Bano going down very low. Ice Switch jumps into the middle. I think this is just having a last hurrah, honestly. We've got the teleport coming in now. Kha'Zix is going to jump on this Abyss, jumping into the middle, gets blown up very, very summarily, and now it's just a push on that mid.
Yeah, and this is so early on to the game that Bano is actually only 18 seconds away from being back. They have put through the surrender vote. So that means we're headed into game number 4, and HeimerdingersCollosi for the first time today really showing us that they're not defeated right now, because I'm pretty sure their heads were dipped after games 1 and 2. So they are starting to bounce back in this series. Can they bring it all level at 2-2? We'll find out in game number 4. We will be back in just a few minutes with game number 4 between absoluteLegends and HeimerdingersCollosi.